How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Monday, March 21st. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the month of March, there are now 16 teams left in both the men and the women's college basketball brackets as the second round of the women's bracket came to an end yesterday. The men's bracket will resume on Thursday. So for Tuesday and Wednesday, we are just kind of chilling out here, waiting for basketball to come back. And of course, when we look at the NBA, we are coming towards the end of the season as teams are starting to sort themselves out as the playoffs are just around the corner. Also, with soccer going on, we are about to enter an international break as in the domestic leagues, teams are slowly yet surely finding their way getting towards clinching their own titles within their own countries. So with that said, starting with college basketball, looking at the second day of the second round of the women's bracket. First, I'm going to start off with the 1-9 matchup that took place in the Bridgeport region between first seed North Carolina State and 9 seed Kansas State in Raleigh, North Carolina. 1 seed North Carolina State would make it to this round after they beat 16 seed Longwood by 26 in the first round. 9 seed Kansas State made it here after beating 8 seed Washington State by 10. In this particular matchup, NC State would beat 9 seed Kansas State on their home court. They won this game 89-57. They won by 32 points after North Carolina State outscored Kansas State by 12 in the second quarter, so they were up by 16 at the half. They outscored the Kansas State Wildcats by 16 in the second half as well. On the losing end of this matchup, the 9 seed Kansas State Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, Selena Sundell, their freshman out of Maryland, Missouri. In her final game of the season, she finished with 17 points and 5 turnovers in 35 minutes. She shot 6 for 14 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the top seed North Carolina State Wolfpack were led in scoring by their starting forward, Kayla Jones. Their senior out of Janesville, North Carolina, will go on to finish with 18 points and 5 rebounds. She shot 8 for 9 from the field and made her only three-pointer and her only free throw in a 22-minute span. With this win, the top seed North Carolina State Wolfpack out of the ACC will advance to the Sweet 16 round with a 31-3 record. Their next match will be in Bridgeport, Connecticut, as they will face off against 5th seed Notre Dame on Saturday at 11:30. And on the losing end of this matchup, the 9 seed Kansas State Wildcats out of the Big 12 will finish their 2021-22 season with a 20-13 record. Staying within the Bridgeport region, the 2nd seed Connecticut Huskies would face off against the 7th seed UCF Knights. 2nd seed UConn would make it to this round after beating 15 seed Mercer by 45 in the first round. 7th seed UCF made it here after beating 10 seed Florida by 17. In this matchup, 2 seed UConn would beat 7 seed UCF 52-47. They would go on to win this game by 5 after they outscored the UCF Knights by 9 in the second quarter, and then by 5 in the third, by 14 in the middle 2 quarters. On the losing end of this matchup, the 7th seed UCF Knights were led in scoring by their starting guard, Diamond Battles. Their starting senior out of Winter Haven, Florida, will go on to finish with 12 points in 40 minutes. She shot 3 for 11 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the 2 seed UConn Huskies were led in scoring by their starting guard, Azzy Fudd. Their freshman out of Arlington, Virginia, will go on to finish with 16 points, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. All of this in 38 minutes. She shot 4 for 13 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 2 seed UConn Huskies out of the Big East will advance to the Sweet 16 round of this women's tournament with a 27-5 record. After they finish with a 13-1 record at home, they will play no more games on their home court. With this win, they will face off against 3 seed Indiana on the 26th at 2 o'clock, just to get a sense of how they got here. With this loss, the 7 seed UCF Knights out of the American Athletic Conference will finish their 2021-22 season with a 26-4 record. Staying within the Bridgeport region, looking at the 3 seed, the Indiana Hoosiers would face off against the 11 seed Princeton Tigers. And looking at how they both got here, 3 seed Indiana made it here after they beat 14 seed Charlotte by 34 in the first round. 11 seed Princeton made it here after they beat 6 seed Kentucky by 7 in the first round. In this matchup, 3 seed Indiana would beat 11 seed Princeton 56-55. This on their home court in Bloomington, Indiana. In this matchup, 3 seed Indiana would beat 11 seed Princeton 56-55. They would win this matchup by 1 after they would go on to outscore Princeton by 10 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the 11 seed Princeton Tigers would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Julia Cunningham, and their other starting guard, Grace Stone. Julia Cunningham, their junior out of Watchung, New Jersey, would go on to finish with 13 points and 2 steals in 40 minutes. She shot 5 for 14 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Grace Stone, their junior out of Glen Cove, New York, will go on to finish with 13 points in 33 minutes. She shot 5 for 12 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the 3 seed Indiana Hoosiers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Grace Berger. Their senior from Louisville, Kentucky, will go on to finish with 15 points and 7 rebounds. She also had 6 turnovers in 39 minutes. She shot 7 for 14 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the 3 seed Indiana Hoosiers out of the Big Ten will advance to the Sweet 16 round of the March Madness tournament with a 24-8 record. Their next match will be against 2 seed Connecticut on the 26th after UConn just beat UCF. And taking a look at the last matchup within this Bridgeport region, because all 4 of the matchups were played yesterday, the 4 seed Oklahoma Sooners would host the 5 seed Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And in this match, we're taking a look at how both teams got here. 4 seed Oklahoma beat 13 seed IUPUI by 6 on their home court, and 5 seed Notre Dame beat 12 seed UMass by 11. In this matchup, 5 seed Notre Dame would beat 4 seed Oklahoma 108-64. They would go on to win by 44 points. They outscored Oklahoma by 23 in the first quarter and then by 12 in the second quarter. So they outscored them by 35 in the first half. They would go on to only outscore the Sooners by 9 in the second half. That's still a lot, but compared to the first half, minute, but still, it led to Notre Dame winning this game by 44. On the losing end of this matchup, the 4 seed Oklahoma Sooners were led in scoring by their starting guard, Taylor Robertson. Their senior out of McPherson, Kansas, will go on to finish with 19 points and 2 steals, as well as 6 turnovers in 34 minutes. She shot 5 for 12 from the field and 6 for 8 from the foul line in her final game of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the 5 seed Notre Dame Fighting Irish were led in scoring by their starting guard, Dara Mabry. Their senior out of Belmar, New Jersey, will go on to finish with 29 points and 6 rebounds in 36 minutes. She shot 11 for 19 from the field and 7 for 12 from 3. Their starting guard, Sonia Citron, their freshman out of Scarsdale, New York, will go on to finish with 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals in 31 minutes. She shot 7 for 13 from the field and a perfect 11 for 11 from the foul line. Their starting forward for the day, Maya Dodson, their senior out of Alpharetta, Georgia, will go on to finish with 20 points and 2 steals, as well as 3 blocks in 17 minutes. She shot 8 for 11 from the field and 4 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 5 seed Notre Dame Fighting Irish out of the ACC will advance to the Sweet 16 round of this tournament with a 24-8 record. Their next match will be against 1 seed North Carolina State in Bridgeport, Connecticut on Saturday at 11:30. With this loss, the 4 seed Oklahoma Sooners out of the Big 12 will finish their 2021-22 season with a 25-9 record. Now taking a look at the matchups that were going off in the Wichita region. 4 seed Tennessee would end up hosting 12 seed Belmont. In this matchup, 4 seed Tennessee would beat 12 seed Belmont by 3. But looking at how these two teams got here, 4 seed Tennessee beat 13 seed Buffalo by 13 in the first round, as 12 seed Belmont beat 5 seed Oregon by 3 points in the first round to make it here. But in this round, 4 seed Tennessee would beat 12 seed Belmont. The score would be 70-69 67. They would go on to win this game by 3 after Tennessee would go on to outscore Belmont by 12 in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 12 seed Belmont Bruins were led in scoring by their starting guard, Destiny Wells. Their starting sophomore out of Lakeland, Tennessee, would go on to finish with 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals in 38 minutes. She shot 9 for 25 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Tennessee Lady Volunteers were led in scoring by their starting senior out of Birmingham, Alabama, Alexis Dye. She would go on to finish with 20 points and 11 rebounds, all in 30 minutes, and she shot 10 for 18 from the field. With this win, the 4-seed Tennessee Lady Volunteers out of the SEC will advance to the Sweet 16 round of this tournament with a 25-8 record after finishing with a 16-2 record at home for the year. Their next matchup will be on Saturday at 4 o'clock against the 1-seed Louisville Cardinals in Wichita, Kansas. Taking a look at the 2-seed, or looking at the 3-seed within this part of the region, the 3-11 matchup in Wichita, the 3-seed Michigan Wolverines would host the 11-seed Villanova Wildcats. 3-seed Michigan made it to this round after they beat 14-seed American by 35 points. 11-seed Villanova made it here after they beat 6-seed BYU by 4 points. In this matchup, 3-seed Michigan would beat 11-seed Villanova 64-49. They won this game by 15 after they outscored the Villanova Wildcats by 12 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 11-seed Villanova Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting forward, Maddie Siegrist. Their junior out of Poughkeepsie, New York, would go on to finish with 12 points and 5 rebounds, as well as 3 blocks in 39 minutes. She shot 5 for 13 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the 3-seed Michigan Wolverines were led in scoring by their starting forward, Naz Hillman. Their senior out of Cleveland, Ohio, would go on to finish with 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 steals in 39 minutes. She shot 12 for 16 from the field. And with this win, the 3-seed Michigan Wolverines out of the Big Ten will advance to the Sweet 16 round of this tournament after finishing with a 16-0 record at home. Their next matchup will be on Saturday at 6:30 as they will face off against the 10-seed South Dakota, or they'll face off against the 10-seed South Dakota Coyotes. So that is the Wichita region. Taking a look at the other matchups that were going down yesterday, jumping to the 3-6 matchup in the Spokane region, 3-seed LSU would host 6-seed Ohio State. 3-seed LSU made it to this round after they beat 14-seed Jackson State by 6. And then 6-seed Ohio State made it here after they beat 11-seed Missouri State by 7. This was the only matchup yesterday that was taking place in the Spokane region. And in this matchup, 6-seed Ohio State would end up beating 3-seed LSU 79-64. They would go on to win this matchup by 15 after they outscored LSU by 7 points in the first quarter and then by 12 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown 3-seed LSU Tigers were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Kayla Pointer. Pointer, their senior out of Marietta, Georgia, will go on to finish with 32 points and 2 steals. And as she played all 40 minutes, she shot 12 for 30 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 17 for 13 from the foul line on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the 6-seed Ohio State Buckeyes were led in scoring by their starting guard, J.C. Sheldon. Their starting junior out of Dublin, Ohio, will go on to finish with 23 points, 8 assists, and 3 steals, as well as 6 turnovers in 40 minutes. She shot 9 for 17 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the 6-seed Ohio State Buckeyes out of the Big Ten will advance to the Sweet 16 round of the Spokane region, where they will face off in Spokane against the 2-seed Texas Longhorns after Texas beat 7-seed Utah. With this loss, the 3-seed LSU Tigers out of the SEC will finish their 2021-22 season with a 26-6 record. And now, taking a look at the only matchup to have been played in the Greensboro region, the 4-seed Arizona Wildcats will go on to host the 5th-seed North Carolina Tar Heels. Prior to this matchup, the 4-seed Arizona Wildcats ended up beating 13-seed UNLV by 5, and 5th-seed North Carolina had to beat Stephen F. Austin by 13 points to make it here. In this round, the 5th-seed North Carolina Tar Heels beat the 4-seed Arizona Wildcats 63-45. They won this game by 18 points after they went on to outscore Arizona by 11 in the first half and then 9 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the 4-seed Arizona Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting forward, Sam Thomas. Their starting senior out of Las Vegas, Nevada, will go on to finish with 15 points and 2 steals. She did all this in 36 minutes as she shot 6 for 12 from the field and 3 for 8 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the 5th seed North Carolina Tar Heels were led in scoring by their starting guard, Kennedy Todd Williams. Their sophomore out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, will go on to finish with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals in 33 minutes. She shot 7 for 11 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. UNC starting guard Alyssa Utsby, their sophomore out of Rochester, Minnesota, would go on to finish with 12 points and 12 rebounds, alongside 4 steals and 2 blocks in 40 minutes. She shot 5 for 13 from the field and 2 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 5th seed North Carolina Tar Heels out of the ACC will enter the Sweet 16 of this tournament with a 25-6 record. Their next opponent will be the 1st seed South Carolina Gamecocks on Friday, the 25th at 7 o'clock. So that is officially when this tournament will resume. But that is why we are now down to 16 teams in both the men's and the women's brackets. The men's bracket will resume on Thursdays. The women's bracket will resume on Friday, like I said earlier. Taking a quick look at what's going on in the NBA, starting off in Charlotte. The Hornets hosted the New Orleans Pelicans. In this matchup, the Hornets would end up beating the Pelicans by 3. They won this game 106-103 after they outscored the Pelicans by 9 in the fourth quarter to overcome their 6-point deficit. On the losing end of this matchup, the New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard CJ McCollum. He would go on to finish with 27 points and 6 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 10 for 19 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting center, Jonas Valanciunas, finished with 24 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks in 29 minutes. He shot 11 for 18 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and he made his only free throw on the night. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Charlotte Hornets were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard LaMelo Ball and their starting shooting guard Terry Rozier. LaMelo Ball finished with 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists, as well as 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt of the day. Terry Rozier would finish with 17 points in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field. And of course, their starting center, Mason Plumlee, will go on to finish with 11 points and 10 rebounds in 24 minutes. He shot 4 for 7 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Charlotte Hornets are now holding a 37-35 record. That is the 9th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now won their last 5 games. Their 5-game winning streak is tied with the Phoenix Suns for the longest active winning streak in the NBA. The Hornets have won 7 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit a game behind the 8th place Brooklyn Nets. They sit a game and a half ahead of the 10th place Atlanta Hawks. Overall, they trail the 1st seed Miami Heat by 10 games in the conference. And since they are the second best team in their specific division, the Heat are the only team to have clinched their division so far. But of course, I'll get into that in a bit. With this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 30-42. That is the 10th best record in the West. They've now lost 6 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference play-in picture, they now sit a game behind the 9th place Los Angeles Lakers. They sit a game ahead, or 2 games ahead of of the San Antonio Spurs, who are the first team on the outside looking in. They are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 28 games as they have officially clinched a losing record for the season. Taking a look at what happened in Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavaliers hosted the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers would beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 131-120 to, of course, avoid their fate of being losing team of having a losing record one more game. They delayed it. The Lakers are going to win this game by 11 after they outscored the Cavaliers by 12 in the second quarter and by 12 in the fourth quarter as well. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Cleveland Cavaliers were led in scoring by their all-star starting point guard Darius Garland. He finished with 29 points, 2 rebounds, and 17 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 10 for 23 from the field. He would go on to shoot 2 for 8 from 3 and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Lakers were led in scoring by their goated starting small forward, the NBA's active leading scorer LeBron James, out of Akron, Ohio, and former champion from the Cleveland Cavaliers. He would go on to finish with 38 points, 11 rebounds, and 12 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 17 for 29 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their go-to starting point guard out of UCLA, Russell Westbrook, finished with 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 11 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and he shot 4 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, before I get to that, their guard off the bench, DJ Augustin, will go on to finish with 20 points in 26 minutes. He shot a perfect 7 for 7 from the field. He shot 6 for 6 from 3. With this win, the Los Angeles Lakers are now 31-41. That is the 9th best record in the Western Conference. They've won 4 of their last 10 games. In the playoff picture, they are sitting 4.5 games behind the 8th place LA Clippers. They are sitting 1 game ahead of the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans, and they are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 27 games, as the Lakers have 10 more games left in their schedule. With this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now 41-31. That is the 6th best record in the East, as they've lost 5 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit a game and a half behind the 5th place Chicago Bulls. They sit a game ahead of the 7th place Toronto Raptors. They are trailing the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 6 whole games in the conference. Jumping out to Detroit, the Pistons, who were already eliminated from playoff contention, hosted the Portland Trail Blazers. The Blazers would beat the Pistons by 4. They won it 119-115. They would win this game by 4 after they outscored the Pistons by 15 in the very first half. Taking a look at the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Detroit Pistons were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Saddiq Bey, in their number 1 overall pick from last year, their point guard out of Oklahoma State, Cade Cunningham. Saddiq Bey finished with 25 points and 5 rebounds in 33 minutes. He shot 6 for 17 from the field, 5 for 13 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. Cade Cunningham finished with 25 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, 9 turnovers, and 5 fouls in 36 minutes. He would go on to shoot 10 for 17 from the field. He shot 4 for 5 from the foul line on the night. On the winning end of this matchup, the Portland Trail Blazers were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Brandon Williams. He went on to finish with 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals in 33 minutes. He shot 6 for 17 from the field as he shot a perfect 11 for 11 from the foul line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Ben McLemore out of Kansas, finished with 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 31 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field. He shot 5 for 12 from 3, and he shot 2 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Portland Trail Blazers are now 27-44. That is the 4th worst record in the Western Conference. They've won only 2 of their last 10 games. They sit 2.5 games behind the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans outside of the play-in picture, as the Trail Blazers currently have 11 more games left in their schedule. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 19-53. They are tied with the Orlando Magic for the worst record in the Eastern Conference, as the Pistons have lost their last 2 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 16.5 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, as they have they only have 10 games left in their schedule, so they are one of 3 teams in the Eastern Conference who have been eliminated from playoff contention, alongside the Orlando Magic and the Indiana Pacers. Taking a look at what happened in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia 76ers hosted the Miami Heat in what could be a potential Eastern Conference playoff matchup. The Sixers would beat the Miami Heat 113-106. They won this game by 7 after they outscored the Heat by 6 in the second half and by 7 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Miami Heat were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Marquette, Jimmy Butler. Butler finished with 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field and a perfect 11 for 11 from the foul line. Their starting center, Bam Adebayo, finished with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 14 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting point guard out of Villanova, Kyle Lowry, finished with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field and 6 for 11 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Philadelphia 76ers were led in scoring by their starting point guard Tyrese Maxey. He finished with 28 points. He would also have 5 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 7 for 7 from the foul line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Shake Milton, finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 31 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are now 44-27. They are tied with the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks for the second best record in the Eastern Conference, win percentage-wise. The Sixers have won 6 of their last 10 games. Alongside the Bucks and the Boston Celtics, they are trailing the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 2.5 games. They're trailing them, and they're sitting 2 games ahead of the 5th place Chicago Bulls, just to give you a sense of how close that top 4 in the Eastern Conference is. With this loss, the Miami Heat are now 47-25. That is still the best record in the Eastern Conference. It is the 4th best record in the NBA, as they sit behind the Suns, the Grizzlies, and the Warriors out west. The Heat have lost 4 of their last 10 games. They sit 2.5 games ahead of the second place Philadelphia 76ers and the Bucks, who are tied with that record. They also sit 2.5 games ahead of the 4th place Boston Celtics. They are sitting 11.5 games ahead of the 10th place Atlanta Hawks. The Miami Heat, with this loss, are still the only team in the Eastern Conference to have clinched a playoff spot this year, as they have 10 games left in their schedule. Taking a look at what happened in Brooklyn, one state over, the Brooklyn Nets hosted the Utah Jazz. The Nets beat the Jazz 114-106. They won this game by 8 after they outscored the Jazz by 14 points in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Jazz were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, out of Louisville. He finished with 30 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 6 turnovers in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 23 from the field, 5 for 15 from 3, and he shot a perfect 7 for 7 from the free throw line. Their elite starting center out of France, Rudy Gobert, will go on to finish with 11 points and 4 rebounds in 31 minutes. He shot 4 for 5 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Brooklyn Nets were led in scoring by their goated starting power forward, Kevin Durant. The 2-time NBA Finals MVP will go on to finish with 37 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 15 for 23 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, Bruce Brown, finished with 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field and 7 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are now 38-34. That is the 8th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 2 games behind the 7th place Toronto Raptors. They are sitting a game ahead of the 9th place Charlotte Hornets. They are trailing the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 9 games overall. With this loss, the Utah Jazz are now 45-27. That is the 4th best record in the Western Conference, and that is the 5th best record in the NBA. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they sit 2.5 games behind the third place Golden State Warriors. They sit a game ahead of the 5th place Dallas Mavericks. Overall, they are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 13 whole games in the conference. Taking a look now at what happened in Chicago, the Bulls hosted the Toronto Raptors. The Bulls ended up beating the Raptors 113-99. They won this game by 14 after they outscored the Raptors by 12 in the third quarter, by 15 in the second half to overcome their deficit. On the losing end of this matchup, the Toronto Raptors were led in scoring by their starting power forward Pascal Siakam. Siakam finished with 22 points and 5 rebounds in 38 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field and 6 for 8 from the foul line. The Raptors all-star starting shooting guard Fred VanVleet out of Wichita State finished with 19 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 22 from the field, 3 for 12 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Toronto's power forward off the bench, Chris Boucher, finished with 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 33 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, and he would go on to shoot a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their all-star wings. Their all-star wing out of USC, DeMar DeRozan, finished with 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 35 minutes. He shot 11 for 14 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the foul line. Their all-star wing out of UCLA, Zach LaVine, finished with 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 5 for 8 from the foul line. Chicago starting center Nikola Vucevic finished with 19 points and 13 rebounds in 33 minutes. He shot 7 for 17 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Chicago Bulls are now 42-29. That is the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've won 3 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 2 games behind the second place Philadelphia 76ers, the 3rd place Milwaukee Bucks, and the 4th place Boston Celtics. They are sitting a game and a half ahead of the 6th place Cleveland Cavaliers. Overall, the Bulls trail the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 4.5 games in the conference. With this loss, the Toronto Raptors are 40-32. That is the 7th best record in the East. They've now lost 4 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they are currently sitting a game behind the 6th place Cleveland Cavaliers. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the 8th place Brooklyn Nets, as the Raptors have 10 more games left in their schedule. Taking a look at what happened in Houston in the Toyota Center, the Houston Rockets hosted the Washington Wizards. The Rockets beat the Wizards 115-97. They won this game by 18 after they outscored the Wizards by 9 points in the third and then by 21 in the fourth. They outscored the Wizards by 30 in the second half at home. On the losing end of this matchup, the Wizards were led in scoring by their starting center out of Latvia, Kristaps Porzingis. He finished with 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks in 32 minutes. He shot 7 for 18 from the field and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Houston Rockets were led in scoring by their starting center, Christian Wood. He finished with 39 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 14 for 18 from the field. He shot 8 for 9 from 3 and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Houston Rockets are now 18-54. That is the worst record in the West, as they've won 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 12 games behind the 10th place New Orleans Pelicans out west, as the Rockets have 12 games left, as they have 10 games left in their schedule. The Rockets are the only team in the Western Conference that have been eliminated from playoff contention, at least to date. With this loss, the Washington Wizards are now 30-41. That is the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference, or the 4th worst record, tied with the New York Knicks. The Wizards have lost 8 of their last 10 games. They sit 5 games behind the 10th place Atlanta Hawks, as the Wizards have 11 games left in their schedule, so they would probably need a miracle to make it into the playoffs at this point. The play-in game, at least at this point. Jumping out to Oklahoma City, the Thunder hosted the Boston Celtics. The Celtics would end up beating the Thunder 132 to 123. The Celtics would win this matchup by 9 after they outscored the Thunder by 17 points in the first quarter and then by 10 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Oklahoma City Thunder were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Trey Mann. He finished with 35 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 13 for 21 from the field, 7 for 12 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Oklahoma City starting point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out of Kentucky, finished with 31 points as well as 9 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 13 for 23 from the field, a perfect 4 for 4 from 3, and he made his only free throw. Their starting power forward, Darius Bazley, finished with 22 points and 10 rebounds in 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field and 5 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Jason Tatum. Tatum finished with 36 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 11 for 19 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 9 for 9 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, out of Cal, finished with 25 points and 2 steals in 39 minutes. The former All-Star shot 10 for 19 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 6 from the foul line. Their power forward out of Tennessee, Grant Williams, finished with 20 points and 10 rebounds in 38 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Boston Celtics are 45-28. That is the 4th best record in the Eastern Conference, win percentage-wise. They've won their last 4 games. Their 4-game winning streak is the second longest active winning streak in the East, behind the 9th place Charlotte Hornets. The Celtics have won 9 of their last 10 games. Because they have one more win and one less loss than the Sixers and the Bucks, they are sitting even with them. All 3 of these teams are sitting 2.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the Bulls, as the Boston Celtics are currently sitting with 10 games left in their schedule at the moment. With this loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder are now 20-52. That is the second worst record in the Western Conference. They've now lost their last 10 games. Their 10-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the NBA. They are now trailing the 10-seed New Orleans Pelicans by 10 games in the conference, as the Thunder have 10 games left in their schedule. I imagine with one more loss here, or if the Pelicans win one more game, the Oklahoma City Thunder will be eliminated from playoff contention. But as of right now, they are still in the hunt. With that said, taking a look at what happened one state south in Dallas, the Mavericks hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Dallas Mavericks beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 110-108 last night. They won by 2 after they outscored the Timberwolves by 12 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Karl-Anthony Towns. They're the winner of the three-point contest this year. Will go on to finish with 22 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Minnesota's elite starting small forward, Anthony Edwards, would go on to finish with 19 points and 6 rebounds in 38 minutes. The former number 1 overall pick would go on to shoot 5 for 13 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Dallas Mavericks were led in scoring by their starting center, Dwight Powell. He went on to finish with 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals as he fouled out in 27 minutes. He shot a perfect 8 for 8 from the field and 6 for 7 from the foul line. Their elite starting shooting guard out of Slovenia, Luka Doncic, finished with 15 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists, and 8 turnovers in 38 minutes. He shot 5 for 17 from the field, 3 for 11 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the foul line. Their point guard off the bench, Spencer Dinwiddie, finished with 20 points and 8 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field. He will go on to shoot 5 for 6 from the foul line as well. With this win, the Dallas Mavericks are now 44-28. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference, as they've won 7 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting a game behind the 4th place Utah Jazz. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the 6th place Denver Nuggets. Overall, they are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 14 whole games, as the Mavericks have, as the Mavericks are currently sitting on 10 less. They have 10 more games remaining in their season. With this loss, the Minnesota Timberwolves are 42-31. That is currently the 7th best record in the West. They've only lost 2 of their last 10 games. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting half a game behind the 6th place Denver Nuggets, and they are also sitting 6 games ahead of the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers. The Timberwolves have 9 games left in their season. That is what the NBA is looking like as we are leading into today's matchups. As we only have 2 teams that have clinched playoff spots and 4 teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention, those numbers are going to start changing very soon. Taking a look at what's going on today, the primetime matchups are going to be on TNT because it's Tuesday at 7:30. The New York Knicks, who are tied with the Wizards for the 4th worst record in the East, are going to host the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks are holding that last spot in the play-in picture. They sit 5 games ahead of the Knicks, so a win would be very big for the Atlanta Hawks in terms of at least clinching a chance into the playoffs. And then at 10 o'clock on TNT and Ball Arena in Denver, the Denver Nuggets, who are holding the 6th best record in the West, are going to host the Los Angeles Clippers, who hold the 8th best record in the West. The Nuggets enter this matchup having lost their last 2, as they sit 2 games behind the 5th place Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers enter this matchup having lost their last 3 games, as they sit 6 games behind the Timberwolves at the moment. Outside of those games, at 7 o'clock, the Orlando Magic, who are tied for the worst record in the East, are going to host the Golden State Warriors. If the Warriors beat the Magic, they will outright have the worst record in the East. And then at 8 o'clock, the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks are going to host the Chicago Bulls in Pfizer V Forum, as that could be a potential playoff matchup. Taking a look at what's going on with soccer, because we are virtually in the international break, there's not much going on now, but as soccer will get back to its season, I will get back into it. But with that said, that's everything that I have for you today for Tuesday, March 22nd, and that's everything that I have from yesterday, from Monday, March 21st. First, I want to thank the ESPN, the NCAA, the NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I needed for this episode. And I want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well. I do apologize for the names that I butchered. I do eventually plan on getting them right. And with that said, with everything done today, once all today's exhibitions and matchups are over, I will come back tomorrow on Wednesday, March 23rd for another episode. So until then, thanks for listening. I do hope all is well, and I will catch you with another episode tomorrow. Peace out.